From the most genius idea in history to a concept that will literally get you banned, here are 20 fan ideas that were added to Clash of Clans. Number 1. Ever wanted to remove an obstacle that was in the way of your build, or remove that gem box that just spawned in your village, but when you click to remove it, you realize that all your builders are already busy? Well, this is something that has definitely happened to almost everyone. That's when fans began begging that the removal of obstacles shouldn't require a builder, and only a few years later, in the February 2025 update, that is now possible, making it a lot easier to go lawnmower mode. Number 2. Another idea that was fan inspired is the concept of converting resources. In a lot of mid-stage town halls, it's quite common to accumulate an excess of elixir while struggling to gather enough gold, especially when most of your remaining upgrades are defensive and your laboratory is tied up with lengthy research times. That's why players suggested a way to convert resources, and Supercell eventually made it happen. Resource conversion was implemented via an alchemist in the helper hut, and although this isn't exactly what players had in mind, the idea was one of the most requested features for years, and seeing it implemented in a way that gave you bonuses shows just how much Supercell listens to the community. Number 3. Back in May of 2017, the builder base was introduced as Clash of Clans' official second village, bringing a fresh new night mode experience to the game. At the time, players were ecstatic. Supercell had finally delivered something unique. However, players began to wonder, if there could be 2 villages, why not more? Specifically, the idea of a clan village started gaining traction, a shared base where all clan members could contribute resources to upgrade defenses. And surprisingly enough, the clan capital introduced in 2022 mirrored this idea, allowing clans to collectively build and upgrade districts while participating in raid weekends for rewards. Number 4. Defenses are all over the Clash of Clans village, and at the heart, they're really what keeps the village safe. But have you ever wondered how some of them came to be? For example, the bomb tower started off as a fan request, in which a fan stated there should be a defensive structure that throws bombs down on enemies with splash damage. While some people may have seen it as repetitive and not practical, Supercell thought this idea was ingenious and were quick to implement it into the game. Number 5. Dark Matrona J, the same fan who inspired the creation of the bomb tower, also inspired one of the most annoying traps in Clash of Clans. Who knew that a few words on the Supercell forums would create the tornado trap, one of the most annoying defenses in the whole Clash universe. Number 6. The Inferno tower is one of the most iconic defenses in Clash of Clans, but what many players don't know is that it was actually inspired by fan concepts. Back in the early days of the game, the community was constantly suggesting new defense ideas, and one of the most popular was a flamethrower style building that would burn through enemy troops over time. Supercell took this idea, refined it, and introduced the Inferno Tower, a defense that didn't just deal fire damage, but also had a ramping effect, making it deadly against high health units like the P.E.K.K.A. or Golem. Number 7. As a clan leader, it's crucial to keep track of who's active, who participates in wars, engages in chat, and most importantly, who donates. Donations are one of the core aspects of clans, as they help players progress faster and contribute to overall clan growth. But back in the early days of Clash of Clans, there was no way to track donations. Leaders had no idea who was actually contributing and who was just taking troops without giving back. The donation tracking system was later introduced, allowing players to see exactly how many troops they had donated and received during each season. Number 8. Another defense you might not know was inspired by the Clash of Clans fanbase is the weaponized builder hut. Back in the day, builder huts were nothing more than a useless building, something placed in the corners of a base to waste an attacker's time. But as players continued to brainstorm ways to make defenses more interactive, a concept started circulating in the community, a healer tower that could repair nearby structures. The fan-made idea suggested a defense building that would slowly heal surrounding defenses, much like the battle builders we have today. With Town Hall 14, the builder huts transformed into active defenses, allowing builders to repair structures mid-battle while also attacking enemy troops. So while we never got the exact healer tower that fans originally suggested, the core idea of healing defenses in battle became a reality. Number 9. Focusing on some offensive suggestions, did you know that several troops and spells in Clash of Clans were actually inspired by the community? One of the best examples of this is the poison spell, a highly requested idea that players had been asking for long before it was officially added. Players struggled to deal with defending Clan Castle troops. Supercell took note of this and in June 2015 introduced the poison spell as part of the Dark Spell Factory update. The spell did exactly what players envisioned. It created a lingering toxic cloud that dealt damage over time and reduced the attack speed of affected units. Number 10. The freeze spell is another powerful spell in Clash of Clans that was actually suggested by the community. According to Supercell, Supercell, the idea of a spell that could temporarily stop defenses and troops was brought up by players, and it immediately caught their attention. It was such a strong concept that they quickly decided it would be the next spell to be added to the game. While the free spell isn't an entirely original idea in gaming, someone in the community recognized how useful it could be in Clash of Clans, and Supercell agreed. Number 11. The clone spell is one of the most unique and creative spells in Clash of Clans, and believe it or not, it was originally a concept suggested by the community. Players had long imagined a spell that could create temporary copies of troops. Supercell saw this idea and turned it into reality, introducing the clone spell in the May 2016 update. At first, the spell seemed a little bit gimmicky. After all, clone troops had limited hit points and a short lifespan, but over time, it became a powerful tool for advanced attack strategies where having extra troops for a short period could completely overwhelm defenses. Number 12. When it comes to countering heroes, few troops are as effective as the Headhunter, and interestingly enough, this unit was also originally a fan idea. For years, players had been requesting a troop that specifically targeted heroes, as taking down Barbarian Kings and Archer Queens and Grand Wardens was becoming increasingly difficult in high-level attacks. Supercell took this feedback into account and eventually introduced the Headhunter in June 2020. Unlike any other troop before it, the Headhunter was designed to prioritize enemy heroes, dealing extra damage against them while also slowing them down with a poison effect. Number 13. Ever since Clash Royale's Lost Crown was released, Hilary and his brother Peter became fan-favorite skeletons in the Supercell universe. Their popularity led to many players suggesting that the guards from Clash Royale should be incorporated into Clash of Clans in some sort of way. While Supercell didn't add them as a direct unit, their influence can be seen in the Skeleton spell, which was introduced in October 2016 during the game's massive update. The Skeleton spell essentially serves as a summon ability, spawning a group of skeletons anywhere on the battlefield, similar to how guards are deployed in Clash Royale. Although they don't have shields like their Royale counterparts, they fulfill a similar role, providing a distraction, overwhelming defenses, and even taking down key targets when used strategically. Number 14. Offensively speaking, heroes have always been a major part of Clash of Clans battles, serving as the backbone of many attack strategies. However, over time, their abilities started to feel repetitive and predictable, with only a single active ability per hero that never changed. That's where the idea of hero gear, now known as hero equipment, came in. The community had long suggested that heroes should have additional upgrades, power-ups, or even customizable abilities to keep things fresh. Supercell took inspiration from these ideas and introduced hero equipment, allowing players to unlock and equip different items, like the Giant Gauntlet, Frozen Arrow, and Fireball, each bringing unique effects to battles. Number 15. Gems have always been the most valuable and scarce resource in Clash of Clans. Unlike gold, elixir, or even dark elixir, there was no natural way to generate gems other than clearing obstacles, completing achievements, or purchasing them with real money. This led to a fan-driven idea: what if there was a way to passively earn gems over time? That's when the gem mine concept was born. Back in the day, this concept seemed illegal at best to Clash of Clans players. Players envisioned a structure that would slowly generate gems, much like gold mines and elixir collectors. Supercell eventually took inspiration from this idea and introduced the gem mine in the builder base, allowing players to gradually earn gems without having to rely solely on obstacles or events. Number 16. Clan Wars. Yes, one of the biggest and most game-changing features in Clash of Clans was actually inspired with the community. It's crazy to think about it, but at one point, Clash of Clans had no real way for clans to clash against each other. Players often joked about how ironic the game's name was, given that clans didn't actually battle. Eventually, the community's persistent requests made Supercell take notice, and the developers started working on a proper clan-based war system. In 2014, Clan Wars was finally introduced, bringing a whole new level of strategy, teamwork, and even competition into the game. Number 17. Back in the day, requesting troops was a bit of a gamble. You never knew exactly what you'd get, as it all depended on the generosity of your clan members. One day you might get a bunch of goblins, and the next day archers. It was chaotic. Custom troop reinforcement request, a fan-inspired feature, changed all of that. This allowed players to request specific troops, making it easier to optimize your strategy and ensure that you were getting the right troop for the right situation. Number 18. Ever had an incredible attack or the most hilarious defense, but you can't share it with your clanmate or friends? Sharing replays was a feature that players have been asking for, and eventually Supercell took notice of this community demand. Now, with the ability to share replays directly, it became so much easier to showcase your best or most embarrassing moments. Number 19. Only veterans will remember the struggle of the OG days of Clash of Clans when loot, especially Dark Elixir, was incredibly hard to come by. Players would spend countless hours hunting down bases with full storages, hoping for a big haul, only to use lightning spells to target the storages directly and then leave the attack. Thankfully, however, resource storages characters became immune to spell damage. This was a massive relief for players as it meant that spells could no longer interfere with the loot they were after. Number 20. Most Clash of Clans players created their accounts when they were really young, and let's be honest, many of those early usernames were a bit goofy. The name change feature was a game changer for many, allowing players to finally ditch those embarrassing or outdated usernames for something more mature or reflective of their in-game persona. Those were 20 fan concepts that were later added to Clash of Clans. If you enjoyed this video, YouTube thinks you'll like this one next. Peace out and take care.